Whenever our bodies introduce pathogens, infectious cells, or perhaps toxins, well, we have certain responses that are activated to ensure that there's no harm done to our body. One of them is the antibody-mediated response. Now, during this response, there are effector B cells that essentially utilizes antibodies to create plasma membranes so that we could defend ourselves against these sort of infectious cells. Another key note to mention is that there are also memory cells that are produced. And what they do is they store the antigen of the particular infectious cell so that if there's another immediate response needed, well, there's no delay to happen. The other response is the cell-mediated response. Now, during that response, there are cytotoxic T cells that attack the infectious cells. What they do is they drill holes into it, so it essentially pours all of its contents out until it's disintegrated or essentially dead. And if they ever need any help, well, there's the complement system. The complement system has 20 or more proteins that essentially, once activated, can directly attack the infectious cells, attract the infectious cells, and stick to the surface of it. So when the macrophages sort of devour the cells, well, they're easy to cling onto because of those proteins. And what's also important to mention is that there's two immunities. One of them is the active immunity. Now, the active immunity is essentially the continual production of memory B cells and T cells to counteract any antigens that are within our body. So this can happen during an infection when our body remembers that sort of infectious cell, so that way if we ever get the infection once more, well, our memory B cell says, hey, there's infection, we remember this cell, so the T cells can directly attack it. That's why we get vaccinations. So when we get the vaccinations, the sort of weak infectious cells essentially create T cells and memory B cells. So that way, once we are truly introduced to that invasive species, hopefully we have built-in immunity so that we can attack that foreign cell. That's why we have boosters occasionally. So that way our memory B cells won't forget and our T cells are constantly active. Another is passive immunity. And in passive immunity, that's when it's sort of passed down naturally. Let's say a mother who's pregnant with a child, if her body produces antibodies, well, that antibodies may also be passed down to the child. Or perhaps whenever she's nursing a child, some antis are produced, and thus when she lactates, it could also be passed down to the child because it's sort of introduced to him. And that, or her, introduce her to her as well. And that is Group 24 presentation. Thank you.